Okay, so your homework is, I think it will be posted today. It is about Tetris. If you don't know how to play Tetris, there are nice online places that you can play. Tetris.com is one of them. Most of you, I think, are there anybody who did not play Tetris at all? Everybody played Tetris, right? So it's a very old game. Your purpose is you are given these pieces, Tetris pieces. It's like dominoes, but tetrominos. We call them tetrominos. Your job is to rotate them and find a suitable position and make these complete lines. Okay. So I used to be good at this, but nowadays it looks like my reflexes are getting worse and worse. There are championships happening every year. So this is the level of, okay, these are real time.
Now Tetris ready knocks down a Tetris dog at 9:55. 2 Tetrises away from a max out here in the first game. And there it is, Tetris for dog and Tetris for Doge. However, Doge has a little bit of an overhang situation to deal with, but he executes.
So these are how many lines they did?
Except for that one. Now he's gonna
Level 25 is the fastest, I guess.
Even though he can survive this, Dog is going to be able to extend his lead. 992 for Dog, 926 for Doge.
You know why they are doing this, right? I mean, if you put a line in here, that's a bad thing.
Doge is starting to get up a little bit high, but where's the long
Yeah.
bar for Doge?
So if you get 4 of them, it's the maximum point.
And he holds out just long enough for the Tetris. 961 to now 835. Dog is already maxed out and he's going for more. Both players are Tetris ready. Doge is still stacked up to the ceiling, knocks down a Tetris, but makes a small miss.
I mean,
but a beautiful.
so people are doing this. By the way, I mean, it is not possible to push those buttons one by one. So you have to do other tricks, like they are not, I guess they are not moving the buttons, they are moving the pad itself. There are different techniques, and it takes like a few years to master those techniques. After that, you can play this kind of level. Of course, you need the reflexes and the eye coordination and etc. Anyway, so your task will be to write a simple. Okay, don't forget about the attendance. So your task will be to write a class to represent these tetrominos. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, different pieces. They are called I, O, T, J, L, etc. I think I got them from the Wikipedia. Of course, we are not going to use colors. We are not going to use these boxes. For a T piece, I am going to use this. Okay, this is my T piece. And if I rotate it once, like this to the right, I will get this, right? Okay, so your task is to write a class to represent these pieces. Okay, your constructor will take an enum. Enum will say that which one you want to represent, one of these, and it will represent it. And you are going to use vectors inside your class to represent those boxes. However you are going to do it, I don't care. There will be a rotate function that will be used to rotate your tetromino to the left or to the right. So it will take either to left or right. Again, another enum. Print will print the current tetromino on the screen. That will be it. And there will be a function, it's called canfet. Okay, this canfet function will take another tetromino object, and it will take the relative position. So you're going to say, here is your object, and I like you to fit this to the right. Okay, and if it can be fit to the right, then it will return a true. Otherwise, it will return a false. What do I mean by fitting it to the right? For example, if I have an O tetromino, that means this. Okay, I can fit an L tetromino, okay, to the right, because O to the right L is okay, but O to the right Z is not okay because there will be a space. I cannot place anything in it, okay? Or O to the right T is bad O to the left T is bad. O to the bottom T is okay because I can squish those pieces from the right, etc. Okay, so that will be your, at least these functions has to be implemented. Okay, and when your program runs, it's going to do this. Okay, when the program starts, you're going to ask how many tetrominoes you want me to construct. The user will say, for example, okay, the user, for example, will say 3. Then what are the types? You are going to say O, T, and L, and then you are going to print them one by one. And then you are going to come up with the best fit tetramino line, okay? So your tetraminos are sorted from left to right, O, T, and L. If I keep O like that, let me make this a little bit bigger. If I rotate T to the, it was like, how was it? Yeah, it was like this. So if I rotate it to the left once, and if I rotate my L, how many times? Just once to the left, then I can come up with such a horizontal configuration, horizontally best fit tetramino configuration is this, and it will print this out, and that will be the end of the program. Of course, I like you to test everything in your program, okay, all the functions and everything, and these are the minimum stuff. So that will be your first class-based homework. The second will be, of course, you will have a Tetris board and your tetraminos will move in them, and that will be your second homework. It's going to come in a few days. Okay, so I asked Ilhan to post this. I think he's going to add his submission instructions to this, and it will make it available for you. Good, any questions? So read this text. Later, maybe we can talk about it.
It used to be easier to play with.
What?
When we are child, it used to be easier with playing with.
Yeah, well, what do you mean? Yeah, you mean the reflexes and everything, and that's.
So rotating seems hard.
You mean with my version? No, I mean, I don't understand what you are saying.
Homework seems hard to me.
Oh, you are saying that it is easy to play a game than implement it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Playing is a game, implementing is a professional thing. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's go back our discussion of the classes and the constructors. As I said before, constructors are important. They are used for during the construction of an object, and they can take as many parameters as you like. They are like regular functions, but they have a specific task. Their task is to initialize and validate the object. And along with the constructors, if you keep your setter functions, if you write your setter functions carefully, then there is no way that your objects will be in a invalid state. It will be always, they will always be in valid states, and that's a nice thing. Okay, whatever your object is, it cannot misbehave. It's not like C. I mean, in C, we have lots of uninitialized data problems, and we have to be careful about that. In C++, most of those problems are gone. Why? Because we write our classes in a way that our objects are always initialized and they are always valid. Of course, if you force it, you will have uninitialized memory problems, but it is more difficult to have in C++.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
How can we prevent unnecessary use of no parameter construct call, that line 11 call?
What do you mean?
For example, if user wants to initialize some object and then later use it in for example, in a loop, etc. But in this way, we always force user to enter something which
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't need.
Well, turn this off, erase line 11.
Then it's warn it because
It won't warn it. The program will not compile.
Yeah.
So I mean, you are saying that if you are going to construct a new object, construct it with initial values. If that's what you want to say, then get rid of this constructor. They have to initialize it to some initial value, if that's what you want. Okay. So let's go to my favorite class. Okay. This is my favorite class. When you define this class, as we said last time, there is a default constructor. Okay, there is a default constructor. What does the default constructor do in this case? I mean, since it's a default constructor, it is a function, and it has to do something, right? The task of the default constructor is to call the default constructors of its data members. Well, there is no default data member inside this class, then the default constructor doesn't do anything. But there is a default constructor in this case. Okay. Another class. Let me write this class. Class. Let's say A. In my private section, I have a day of year object D. As you see, this class contains another object of a class, day of year class. It is D. I did not define any constructors, so the compiler defines a default constructor for me automatically, and the task of that default constructor is to call the default constructor of this day of year object, day of year class, on object D. So whenever I make a, let me make this class B so that we are not confused about that with the other one, and move it up. When I say B, okay, the default constructor of this B will be called, and its task is to call the default constructor of day of year D. What is the default constructor of day of year D? It is this one, okay? No parameter constructor. So no parameter constructor initializes this day of year to 1/1, January 1st. So this B has a January 1st object in it. I didn't do anything. It is not a useful class, but it's a demonstration class. But this is how it works, okay? So the default constructor, when we go back to the definition, okay? As I said before, I don't like this this terminology. We don't call this a default constructor. It's a no parameter constructor, okay? It's a no parameter constructor, but from time to time people use it that way, okay? But these are the rules, okay? Is default constructor auto-generated? It depends. If your class does not define any constructors, yes, it is defined, okay? If you have a constructor, any type of constructor, no parameter constructor or many parameter constructors, then there are no default constructors, okay? And we should be careful about the distinction between no parameter constructors and default constructors, because all the default constructors are no parameter constructors, but if you yourself define a no parameter constructor, it is not a default constructor anymore. It's a no parameter constructor. Okay, so this auto-generated yes and no. Yes, it is auto-generated for the classes that doesn't define any constructors. No, if there is at least one constructor, then it is not defined. Okay, and if you don't have any no parameter constructors, then you cannot declare this. That's what we said last time. Okay, so did anybody have any problems with the attendance? Yes, what?
I couldn't spell it.
You what?
I couldn't spell it
Why?
because I just came right now.
Oh, okay, that means you are late. You are not supposed to fill it in. So let me go to this. You know, I hate doing this, but if I don't do this every day, I know that in a few lectures, I will have lots of fake signatures. That's my 15 years of academic experience. So in order not for me to fail some of you from the attendance or from the disciplinary action, I'm doing this for your own good. Okay, open it. Okay, İlker is here. İlker. Melike. Özcan Akay. Furkan Baran. Eren Torlak. Yiğit Karaduman. Alperen Özdelen. Is it yesterday? Really? Oh, okay. Ali Erdem is today's winner. Okay, who is Ali Erdem? Ali, okay. Is that your 17? Is it a new record? 14 was the record, right? What was it? 14? Who holds the record? We'll find it at the end of the semester. Okay. Good. So the system works. At least for me, it works. Okay. So these are some of the rules. As I said, I mean, none of these rules are complicated. But if you, I mean, every rule that I teach you, when you add them up to all the other rules, keeping them in your head, and the worst thing is using them in practice becomes kind of difficult. But if you spend long enough time with your compiler, with your homeworks, and with your extra exercises, then all of these will come naturally, and you will use them. Okay. So we are going to talk about a new powerful object-oriented programming principle, composition. It will come so natural, so and you're going to wonder why are they giving this to a name. It's called composition, and composition is simply using an instance of another class in our class, an object of another class in our class. Okay, did I use this term instance before? Instance of a class? Okay, maybe I can do that. Okay, when I say day of year D1, okay, this is the class, this is the object of the class. Sometimes we call this an instance of a class. Sometimes we call this a sample of a class. You may think this like a set, okay, day of year set. The day of year set might be empty because there are no objects of it. But if you have many objects of it, D1 is a day of year object and day of year sample, D2. And if you have an array of elements like D100, these are all elements of day of year class. Okay, so you might think it that way. So like the sets, like the samples from a distribution, and etc. Okay. So composition is if I use a sample of an class in another class, I am composing two classes, And that will be a very powerful thing. Why? Because I know that classes are reusable. While I'm writing a new class, I am using the other classes. So I am reusing them, right? So somebody is going to reuse my class objects, and that will be a powerful technique. So let's look at this code, okay? Remember our day of year class? It is this one. Let's say we did that, and we wrote this day of year class. We implemented everything, okay? All of our constructors, input, output, get and getter. There are no getters but the setters. As we say, we are trying to not list everything, and I have the nice test date as a private function, okay? Now I am going to write. Now I can make as many objects as I like from this day of year class. I am going to write another class. It's called holiday. Holiday, okay? Holidays are special days in a year, okay? Can you turn off your computer? Turn your computer off, okay? I don't want any computers on. Just listen to me, okay? If you cannot see this screen and if you are looking at the slides, there are empty spaces in front. Okay, holiday is a special day in a year. Okay, for example, April is the 4th, right? April 23rd is a holiday in Turkey, right? January 1st is a holiday in Turkey. And what else? What was the Gaziler Günü holiday? There was a Gaziler Günü. I remember it happened a few days ago, maybe a few weeks ago. Let's say September 27th is the Gaziler Günü. Okay, it's a holiday, but I mean, not all holidays are. You take the day off. You have to go to school. You have to go to work, right? Now, some of the holidays are. You take the day off. There is no work. Some of the holidays we just observe them. Okay, so this guy is trying to do that. He says that I am going to represent the holiday. Since holiday should happen in a day of year, I have a day of year object in it, and I have this one, a parking enforcement boolean. It means what? I know that that day is a holiday, okay? April 23rd is a holiday in Turkey, but on that day, parking enforcement is parking enforced on my street. That means if I park to the at the side of a street, do I have to pay for the parking, or the parking is free? Okay, so that's the thing. So I think the parking would be free on April 23rd or January 1st, but I don't think that the parking is free at the Gebze streets on September 27th, which is the Gaziler Day, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. So this class definitely needs to represent a date. To represent a date, I could have done this, okay? I could have copied everything. I could have copied everything from this day of year class and put it in this holiday class, right? So I am representing a day. On top of it, I am representing parking enforcement. Okay, so my holiday class contains data and operations both for the holiday and the date. But that would be repetition of the code. That would be trying to make two things into the same class, and that would be a bad thing. Instead, I am saying that I don't care how you represent a date. I don't care how you satisfy the validity of a date. There should not be any minus days or a month that is taking 55 days and etc. It is your problem. I am going to use your objects to represent a date. On top of it, I am going to put this parking enforcement, okay, parking enforcement, and I will call this a class, a nice class. It looks very simple because I am using this as one of my data members, and this is called composition. using a class in another class is going to be called composition. Okay, when you might have said, you might have said, okay, we are kind of using composition because integer is a class, kind of a class, and I am using it in my class definition. Yeah, it's kind of true, but integer is a fundamental type, it's not a class actually. We don't call it a class, it's a fundamental type. But the same idea is there, yes, that's true. And with the composition, most effective use of the composition, usually I write this class and then I write this other class. So both of classes are my classes, but while I am writing this holiday class, I don't think about the complexities of the day of year class. I don't think about it. I just use it as a customer. That's what makes this object-oriented programming more manageable in terms of designing your software, in terms of maintenance, in terms of extending it, making new additions to your software, and etc. Okay, so if you follow this discipline, if you follow all the rules, the writing new classes, making new additions will come naturally. Okay, so let's look at this. Holiday has a no parameter constructor. Okay, doesn't take any parameters. So this one says that it's going to be January 1st. So it's going to initialize its date object to January 1st, and it will set this parking enforcement to false. On that day, nobody is going to give me a ticket if I park my car on a street without paying anything. Okay, so the other one is, okay, give me a month and day that will be for the date, and also the enforcement too. 3 things, and I will set it, and that will be it. And the output is simple. I guess it's going to print the date on the screen. On top of it, it will print the parking enforcement. Does that bother anybody? This flickering light? Yes. I mean, if it is bothering anybody, just turn it off. Yeah.
In line 37 in...
I didn't come to 37 yet. Okay. So as a customer, this is how I use it. February 14th, and parking is enforced for that day. Okay, and I just call h.output. I mean, it's a very simple class. I mean, there is only one function that I can call other than the constructors, and I am calling it. It might be a very complicated thing actually to satisfy all the needs of holiday, because remember, date is actually a complicated class, because I need to know. Can you turn this off? This one? It is at the top, yeah. I need to know if February takes 28 or 29, or there are months that will take 30 or 31, and etc. I need to enforce all those requirements of a date. Yes, and it is all done here. I don't care about it. Since I don't care about it, my class becomes simple. But if I wanted to go into the details of that thing, that this class becomes difficult to implement, difficult to understand. That's what we do. We kind of separate these functionalities. Okay, date is different than the holiday. Okay, date has its own class. And it's a nice class. I can use this date for anywhere else. For example, let's say I have a person class. Okay, inside a person class, maybe I have the day of year birth date, right? Birthday, sorry. Day of year birthday. So I can remember, or maybe worker. Yeah, okay. Worker class. It has birthday as a day of year, so that I can remember my workers' birthdays to send them some presents and etc. So I use day of year in a worker class. I use day of year in a holiday class, and it will go on that way. So it's a useful class. Making it a separate class is a good idea. There is a space in here. Okay, so let's go to the implementation of. I am not going to talk about the implementation of the day of year. It is already implemented. We know it. I can use it. And in this case, I have a single file, 7.3. But sorry. But if I if I am doing this in the correct way, I should have a day of year.h header file. We should include this one. Also, I should have a holiday.h. We should include this header file here. Okay, let's look at the implementation of the holiday. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see. Constructor, no parameter constructor. Remember the initialization section. I send a false. Okay, I initialize this parking enforcement data member with false. I need to initialize my date. Okay, remember date is this. I need to initialize my date with something, so I am going to initialize it with 1. Basically, I am calling the 2-parameter constructor of the day of year class to initialize it.
Can I ask a question about that? Initializations. What if we put initialization section in parentheses? Is it give any kind of error?
Like this?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be an error. I didn't try it. Why do you want to do that?
Yesterday I
By mistake.
Right.
You got an error message?
No, I write in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but papers usually doesn't give you error messages. Okay, so this date is initialized that way. So what happens if I didn't write this date 1-1? Okay, what happens if I didn't write this date 1-1? Why don't I open the program itself from the book? Somebody was asking me about these programs. These are the programs directly from the book, and they are available the book's website. Okay, here it is. Okay. Okay, so I did some other stuff in here too. Let me go to, yeah, okay. This is the, I think this is a better, I modified it in a way that it is not parking enforced, it is markets closed, right? So January 1st, markets closed, right? But April 23rd, markets are not closed. Is that true? BİM is not closed on April 23 Nisan'da BİM kapalı mı ya? Niye bakıyorsunuz öyle?
Sadece bayram için falan kapalı hocam.
1 Ocak'ta açık mı?
Öyle olmasın.
Açık değil.
So there are some days where BİM is closed. So for some holidays, okay. So I changed it to, instead of parking enforced, I said market closed. And day of year is here. And let's go to this one. My question is this. Okay. I am getting rid of this part. Okay. So what happened here? I did not initialize my date, right? I did not initialize my date. This is empty. What would happen if I do this? Date.output. What? Garbage. Would I get garbage? If I get a garbage out of this, that would be a bad thing. Why would it be a bad thing? I mean, is that a bad thing for the holiday class, or is it a bad thing for the day of year class? What?
Day of year.
Day of year class, because day of year is responsible for making everything possible about the day of year. But I don't get a garbage if I don't do that. I get January 1st. Why? Because if you did not initialize anything, if you did not initialize something in your initialization section, the no parameter constructor of that object will be called automatically. Okay, so the no parameter of a day of year is a constructor that will initialize your object to January 1st. So it will be automatically initialized to January 1st. As I said, out of this, no, you cannot get a date object, day of year object, which contains garbage values. Garbage values are bad, okay? So that's why we like our initialization section. Why? Because if I did not initialize it the way I want at this point, I have to initialize it, okay, to some value like date dot set to something, right? To well, maybe 34 is a bad, okay, to this, okay. So that means what? Somebody initialized my day of year object since I did not initialize it. Later I am changing its value to something else. So that's inefficient, right? If I wanted to do this, then I would do this and make this available. Okay, and that will be it. I don't need this line anymore. That's why we like initialization sections. Okay, that's why we like initialization sections. They are more efficient because when your constructor starts running, all of your data, okay, all of your data is ready. It is already there. What are my data for the holiday class? A date object and a Boolean object. Okay, a date object and a Boolean object. When my constructor starts running, all of my data is ready. I can immediately start using it. What happens if I did not initialize this market close Boolean? I don't know its initial value because market close is not a regular class. If it is not initialized, then I might be in trouble. That's why I should definitely initialize it. These are from the C, okay? I cannot assume that they are initialized. For all of my classes, I always should initialize them with something. Okay, good, yeah.
Why don't we initialize them in holiday parentheses?
Where? You mean in here?
Yes.
How are you going to? Well, first of all, this is my no parameter constructor. I have to write a no parameter constructor so that I can make arrays of it and etc. Okay? What you mean is here, if how are you going to initialize your month and day and close? You mean the default arguments? What? How are you going to?
I understand.
Okay. If you understand it, then I am fine. Okay, let me get rid of these. Go back and yeah, okay, good. Let's look at the second one. Second one says that give me a month and day and closed. I will send this month and day to date. Okay, initialize it that way, not 1, month and day. And market closed is not false, it is closed. And this is intentionally empty. Question for you. Why didn't I do any validity check on the month and day? What if they sent me 25 for the month and minus 15 for the day? Anybody else? Okay, well, anybody, it doesn't matter, you guys are the same. You keep talking. Anybody else? Question, repeat the same question, okay? Why didn't I, okay, why didn't I check the validity of this input? Remember in our date class, if month is less than 0, then I am in trouble, yes.
Because it's the job of day of year class.
Exactly, because it is the job of the day of year class. If you send invalid data to this date initialization, that class is going to object and it will say that, no, this is not going to happen. It will either terminate the program or it will set it to January 1st or whatever the behavior is, okay? That's why, as I said before, I don't have to think about the complexities of a day of year. I don't have to say, what happens if something goes bad? How am I going to print this? And I'm not going to do any of those, okay? I'm not going to do any of those. Okay, that's a good thing. So constructor is very nice. I don't know what I did here. Yeah, see this one? I could have done the same thing here, okay? Market close, closed, right? I did not initialize my date. Since I did not initialize it, okay, default constructor or the no parameter constructor is automatically called. It constructed my object and it initialized to January 1st. Now I am resetting that month and date to something else, which is inefficient, right? So this is way more efficient than doing it that way. Okay, that's why we don't like it. How about this one? This is an alternative implementation. Okay. Instead of taking month, day, and closed, I am taking a day of year object and a Boolean to my constructor. And I am setting my date with a D, market close, closed. Which one is better, this one or this one? So I am proposing this. In my header, holiday header, I am going to add this line 26. I am going to take a const day of year. Of course, I should not forget about the ampersand sign, constant reference. Okay, all the objects of a class should be passed as constant references to prevent any copying, right? So which one is better, 25 or 26? How do I use this 26? Let's use, yeah, day of year, yeah, this is how you use it. Day of year 8/30. What is 8? August 30th. I don't know what it is. Haziran 27. I forgot. Atatürk'ün Sivas'a gelişinin günü 27 Haziran. It's not a national holiday, but it's a holiday in Sivas. Yeah. So everybody knows it. Okay, June 27th. Atatürk'ün Sivas'a gelişi. So which one is better? This one or this one? ...21 Haziran mıydı ya? Say something. 37 is, it needs two numbers. Okay, 40 doesn't need it. If you have a date object, you can send it to my constructor. Any ideas? Now you can talk. So which one is better?
Mm.
37 or 40? Well, I mean,
7 or 5.
which constructor is a better constructor out of these?
40, I think.
25 or 20? Well, this is not just a single word answer. You are supposed to explain it.
Okay. 26 is better because less parameter. We have less parameter.
Lesser the number of parameters, better it is. I mean, that's a way of looking at it. Yeah.
If we don't use day of year object name, we don't need to declare it.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, if I do this, if I use day of year in my interface is here, right? It's not here. If I use day of year in my interface, then my class is dependent on day of year class from the perspective of my customer, okay? Later, if I wanted to change how I represent a date, okay, let's say I found another day of year class, which is a much better class, and I like to use it from now on instead of day of year, okay? I can't do that anymore because I promised my customer that there is a constructor available like this. So don't make your classes dependent on each other. You might say that, well, how about the composition? With the composition, I am dependent on this day of year, right? But I am dependent on it on my private section, and my private section is my business, not nobody else's business. Okay, so it's a good idea to write interfaces that do not depend on other classes. Of course, it has to depend, and there is nothing you can do about it. But if you can get away with it, like in this case, then I like line 25 better, even though it has a more number of parameters than 26. Okay. So composition is nice, but composition doesn't mean that your interfaces should be crowded. Okay. It should depend on other classes and everything. Your interfaces should be, of course, very, very clean. Do you know how string class keeps its data? Well, you might think that it's a character array. You might think that it's a vector. It's very complicated, actually. But you don't see that complication inside, okay, from the interface. Interface is very simple, okay? If they bring that complexity to the interface of the class would be difficult to use. And at the end of this semester, I'm going to show you how the string class works. It will be a surprising implementation, actually. And you will say that, yeah, I mean, it's a good decision to keep all these not that meaningful stuff out of the eyes of the users. You, okay.
So can we say that we always force our user to work with our classes with data, not with our other classes?
We should try to do it, but I mean, I was lucky in this case because day of year objects, to initialize them, I just needed 2 parameters, month and day. If I need to initialize my day of year with 15 parameters, and if I have day of year objects available already, maybe I should bite the bullet and make day of year my part of my interface.
Or maybe we should separate these 15 data to subclasses.
Well, that's what day of year is, right? I mean, day of year, we are using it for that purpose, maybe. So all that parameter complexities has to belong to day of year. Okay, but I mean, I showed you this just because, I mean, there's another way of looking at it. Also, I wanted to see this implementation. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so both line 63 and 64 are okay. Of course, 64 is better. Okay, so I can get the get month and get day and set it to date, or I can directly get date and do this. Okay, this is kind of a constructor. This is calling the 2-parameter constructor, and this is calling another constructor which is already defined, but you don't know about it yet. That's, remember my favorite class, empty class. Okay, that class has this kind of a constructor too. It's a constructor that takes another object of the same class and copies. It's called copy constructor, and we'll talk about it later. Yes.
Can you explain why line 30 is okay, but line 26 is not recommended?
Line 30 is not okay, but?
Why line 30 is acceptable, but line 26 is not recommended? You said it's my business in the private, but there is still dependency going.
Well, I didn't say anything about line 30. Line 30 is always okay. That's how we write line 30. I mean, that's how we do the composition. Line 26 is something, of course, we can do it, but I said that I would prefer line 25. But both of them are okay. They will compile, they will run. Did I read some of the line numbers wrong? What did I say? I said line 30 is bad?
No, you don't say that line 30 was bad, that it was okay. But you said that line 26 created dependence on day of year.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you are saying that if line 26 is creating a dependency on day of year, how about line 30? Well, line 30 is my private data. It is my business, okay? I am not exposing whatever I am having as my private data to the outside world, okay? My customers can use my holiday class without knowing anything about day of year class, right? If I don't have line 26. That's what I'm saying, okay? So I am hiding the fact that I am using a day of year from the outside world if I don't have this line. But if I make that line available, now my customers has to know about day of year. And that would make usage of my class a little bit more complicated. Now they have to read another header file, okay? And later, if I wanted to change this day of year to something new based on some new technology, then I am stuck with this day of year based constructor because I already promised my customer that you can use this constructor to construct your objects. If I take this out, my customer's code will break, okay? So my interface is dependent on day of year. That's what I said. Okay, any other questions? Okay, as you see, I mean, I get this question all the time. Most of you didn't ask it directly. You think about it. Well, I mean, we keep talking about the stuff that I can do very easily with C or simpler versions of C++ programming. Well, as I said before, I am not going to teach you anything that is not possible with C or assembly programming. We are talking about object-oriented programming, okay? This course is about not C++ or Java. This course is about object-oriented programming. Without giving solid examples like these, okay, solid examples like these, it would be very difficult to convey all these ideas to you. That's why we use C++, okay? And of course, at the same time, we keep talking about C and C++ and the compilers and the assembly. That will kind of refresh your knowledge about those languages. Okay, so that's the implementation of holiday, and let's look at the. Can we, instead of looking at it, okay, let's write the holiday. I think there is an output function for the holiday, right? Yeah, let's write the output function for the holiday. Okay, not this one, this one. So the holiday function needs to print the holiday's date and the parking enforcement. Okay, so what am I gonna do? Okay, markets closed, and this will say okay, and oh, don't forget the end of line thing. And then I need to print the day of year on the screen. So what am I gonna do? I can say cout date dot get month, right? And then comma date dot get day, right? I can write it that way, but that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. Better implementation would be what? Date dot output, right? Date knows very well how to print the day of year to the screen, right? Why don't I use it? It's a much better idea, right? It's a much better idea. Because if later they decided that there is a better way of printing date on the screen, I will get that update automatically, right? I will get that update automatically. Okay, good. So this is how you write the output. I guess output is somewhere. Where is my output? Okay, holiday This one, get date. Yeah, holiday output is here. Okay, date output, then market close. Okay. It works that way. So let me get rid of this one. Okay, good. Any questions? I guess I'm out of time. Let's take some break. After the break, we will continue our discussion.
Koordinat sistemini kullanmamızı önerirsiniz.
Bilmem, mühendis sensin, yapacaksın.
Açık kalsın ya. Çok soğuk esiyor.
Aşağı düşmüyor değil mi? Tamam. Söylediğin şu değil mi? Bunu tamam, böyle yapabilirsin. Ama aşağı yukarı böyle yapacağız mı? Olmuyor. Şuradan koymayacağız. Bunu yayına koymayacağım. Şu aşağı inmeyeceğiz değil mi? Şurayı yoksa şu hizamda. Line en aşağı. Onun şimdi S'yi şuradan koymuyor. Şuradan aşağı mı geçiyor? Şöyle olmuyor. Yine boş kalır. Tamam, iyi olan. Her türlü işte. Tamam, döndük. Şöyle olacak. Hatta çizemiyorum. Her türlü boşluk kalıyor. Bak, tam karesi olduğu için o kare baba. Ama alıştık öyle. Ne istiyor? Senin görmüş hali. İzileri de mi? Ama şöyle oluyor. Fark etmez yani. Çoğunda. Ben 2-3'ten çözdüm çünkü. Böyle yazıyor. Şöyle değil mi? Doğru mu? Yani anladın mı? Mesela bu şey oluyor. Şöyle. Tamam. Bak burada boşluk kaldı. Bunun en iyi fiti yok mu? Her fiti işte. Senin en iyi fiti var mı? Bak. Şurada hiç boşluk kalmadı. Olmaz. Şunu anladım. Ama bir şey var. Şu şekilde. Tam
İlk soruları hard tarafı. Ama sizde yoktur bence.
sabit.
Ona mesela bir stek yazman gerekiyor. Onun için o soruyu çözüyor. Orada bize hata aldın demiş. Stekte mi hata var?
Bu önemli değil. Aynen. Bu önemli değil. Ama sağda değil mi? Şimdi bir tane korna yapıyorum mesela.
O enkarı oluyor.
İşte aynen. Sana işte o yüzden dedim ki o nasıl? Bilmiyorum ya. Şu algoritmalarını biliyorum.
Keep falan kullanıyor. Bir tane daha var. İki tane falan.
Ben şeyi düşünüyorum. Onu sile yaptığımız zaman adamlar da sile yapıyor.
Evet.
Nasıl yapmışlar?
İsmim biliyorum. Sorting falan yapıyor. Benim nasıl? Böyle değil. Buraya mı? Şöyle.
Düzce var değil mi?
Doğru mu?
İşine yarar yani. İngilizce de
Doğru.
var.
Daha iyi oldu. Ben mi yanlış? Şu Z.
Hiçbir yarar olmuyor ya.
Anladın değil mi? Şu daha iyi olmadı mı şu an? Bu daha iyi. Z daha iyi.
Belki sintaksları karıştırıyor.
İşte bunu sonra şey yazmıyor. Olay çıkıyor. Olayları yapıyor. Best de bu. İşte şu best. O zaman burada niye yok? Snake. Oğlum onu sonradan yapacağım. Gerçi şey yapabiliyor. Farklı bir şeyler yapabiliyor muyum?
Para getirirsen getiremiyorum. Nasıl?
Bir şey ters yaparsa oluyor.
Öyle oluyor değil mi?
Oğlum normalde hayır oğlum o çok basit soru. Bu şeyden yapıyoruz. Yani biz mantığını şey yapıyoruz. Bir tane nokta.
Bana vermiyor.
Hayır hayır.
Bana vermiyor. Neyse kalmıyor. Koyun kendine olsun. Alaylı geldi. Güzel koyun ya.
Buranı keserim. Ne diyor ya? Dünya sadece böyle zalim bir yer değil. Anlatıp belli orada. Harbi devlet işinden oluyor. Ne kadar güzel. 25 dakika. Ha, Eren
Ödeve bakıyorum ya. Sen ödev mi? Hoş geldin kardeşim. Ödeve bakıyorum. Hayır. Lojik okuyorsun. Bilmiyorum.
Ölüyor mu? Ya oğlum manyak valla. Her taraftan katmış ya. Oğlum video düzenini yapıyor. Video buna ne olur? Ne oluyor? Allah manyak. Stajyer bir şey kesmişse kafanı. Orada şey. Gibi gelmiş. Sen yanlış dolabı çalışmış sözlükler. Ben tamamladım. O olmaz mı? Yok.
Ama şeyi arttırmaya çalışıyorum. Şey zaten. Birlikte olduğu zaten. Aynen. Oğlum onu ben şeyden atayım.
Hocam geçen yılki ödevlerde ilk klastan başlamıyordunuz. Siz direkt burada klastan başladınız. Farkı ne? Geçen yılki ödevlerde klastan başlamamıştınız.
Doğrudan klastan başlayalım diye düşünüyorum.
Yani sistem değişiyor mu böyle hocam? Yani?
Belki klassız ödevler de olur. Evet.
Ödev.
Yok ya, şimdi derse başlayacağım.
Çok kısaydı hocam.
Sor.
Şey hocam, ödev demiş ki bu S ya. Karenin yanına S, Z'den daha iyi fit demiş. Ama Z'de bu şekilde boşluk kalmaz yani. Z daha iyi fit değil mi bana göre? Çok görmeyin.
Ha bir dakika, çevirirsen ama. Orada çevirmek yok ki.
Nasıl?
Yani fit dediğin zaman o haliyle o halini alıyor. Çevirip oturt demiyor, fit çevirme yapmıyor ki.
Nasıl? Ama şey demiş yani istediğiniz kadar çevirin. Arada boşluğu az.
Ödevi bir daha okusan. Ödevi okudun mu?
Okudum.
Tamam, bir daha oku. O main'de olan bir şey o. Başka bir şey. Okay. So we looked at this composition, idea of composition. We said that it's one of the important principles of object-oriented programming. Okay, always favor composition. Always try to use composition. It's a very good example of code reuse, and always design your classes so that the composition is possible. Okay. Good. What? Most of the time, yeah. So let's look at this bank account class that the book gives us. 7.4. This is same. Okay, let's open it. 7.4. Okay. So this bank account is going to keep a bank account, as the name implies. Why don't we look at the main function first? Then we are going to look at the interface.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
is unopinionated concept is about that there is some jargon in web like unopinionated libraries. Is this about this composition, but objects is always in private, not in public?
Well, no, there is no such rule as you should apply composition in your private data, but not in public. But there are some rules like coupling, okay, and cohesion. You are going to see this. You should keep coupling as small as possible between classes. Coupling means that your dependency between the classes. If you write two classes that depend too much on each other, modification in one of them will cause trouble for the others. So they should be loosely coupled, but as a unit, they should be very cohesive. Okay, you are going to see these kind of rules in your software engineering course, and I think that was something. Without specifying those kind of, when I tell you about some of the rules, some of them may not make that much sense. We are not trying to teach here the object-oriented design principles. I am trying to teach object-oriented programming tool, object-oriented programming language, which is a tool to make object-oriented designs, okay? So I cannot cover everything, all the rules and the rationale behind it. So I keep telling you about the rules without justifying them much. So I cannot answer your question to the full extent without giving you some other information. So, but I tried to explain it. Composition is nice, but if you use composition in your interfaces, that makes those classes too much depending on each other, and any change from one of them will cause other problems to the other one. That's what we are saying. Okay, let's look at this bank account. Bank account says that, okay, I have a bank account. I have $6,543.21, and I guess this is the interest rate. That should be it. Okay, this is the interest rate. Is that true? Yeah, balance and rate. Yeah. So I have this one. I have another account. Okay, it doesn't have any parameters, so it must be $0 and 0 interest rate, right? And then I have a welcome function, global function, which we don't like, but just this is for the demonstration purposes only. And I have another bank account. This time it is two integers, $100.20. That's my bank account. Then I can do this B1 that output, okay, and I am printing this out account 2 dot out input. I get the numbers from the account information from the keyboard. Then I am asking is larger. If account 1 larger than account 2, okay, I am going to print this. Account 1 is larger or account 2 is larger. Okay, so there are two functions that I don't like. One is welcome, okay. The other one is out. Is larger, okay. Where is it? Yeah, is larger. That's the other one. So that's the whole program. It is not complicated. It looks like it doesn't use any composition, but it's a example program. Okay, let's look at the interface. It takes a double. This is the balance, and this is a rate. Remember what we said? We don't like using doubles to represent money because doubles are only approximate. Better thing is to use integers to represent dollars and cents. Rate is okay with a double. And then a third overload is the integer dollars and rate, and no parameter constructor is here. Okay. So you should be very careful here because doubles and integers, they can be converted to each other automatically. So it's going to be a little bit tricky when we declare new objects. Update is it will calculate the interest for the whole year, and I guess it will add it to the current balance. That's why it is not constant. Input and output. Output is const, input is not const. Get balance is going to give you the balance. Get dollars is going to give you the dollars part of your balance, and this will return you the cents part of your dollars. Get rate will return the rate. Okay, setters, set balance and set balance, two of them, and set rate. Okay, so this is a simple class, a little bit detailed class. It's a simple class. In my private part, I have these. So it looks like I am keeping my dollars as integers, really, yeah. Dollars are integers, cents are integers, and rate is a double, okay? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 private functions that are not supposed to be used by the customers of this class. I am going to use them in my member functions. It looks like this. If you give me $5.20, okay, as a double, I am going to return 5 for this one. So it will return the dollars part of the given amount. If you give me $5.20, this one will return 20. And the round, if you give me $5.20, it's going to round it to $5. It's going to return 5. But if you give me $5.70, time for the attendance. Everybody do the attendance. Attendance is here. You guys, it is active. It is opened, and people are entering it. Yeah, okay. So I'll come back to it. Okay, so this one will give me the rounded version of it. $5.70 is going to give me me 6 returned, and fraction is going to convert 50.3 to 0.5543. Yeah. So these are some private functions, utility functions that I'm going to use in my member functions. I don't like these functions being here because they don't work on my data. Okay. I mean, this dollars part will return the integer part of it. This will return the decimal part of it. This is a rounding. So this function is like a global function, actually. It needs all the data it works on, double, and it returns it. So these should not be part of my class, but I cannot make them globals because I don't like global functions in C++. So the better thing in this case, we are going to find very nice solutions for these, okay, later. But for now, the better solution is to keep them private, so nobody has access to them. My customers cannot use them. I am hiding them from outside world. But I don't like the fact that I have to keep them in my private section because, I mean, these are not, remember what is encapsulation? You define your data and the operations that will work on that data, right? All of them, input, output, get dollars, get cents, and etc. They all work on this data. But these will not work on the data because they need the data is from the parameter list. Okay, so we will come back to this and we will fix this problem in a few weeks maybe. Okay, I don't like these two functions. Is larger should not be a global. It should be it should be a member function, and let me put it in as a member function. Let me put it in here. We should return a Boolean, right? So what am I going to change else? I don't want to use it as is larger account 1, account 2. I like to use it like account 1 dot is larger account 2, right? So how am I going to change this? Is larger definitely should take a single parameter, right? So get rid of the second one. And account 1 is not a good name. What's a good name for this parameter? Other, yes. Other account is a good name. And constant reference, what else?
We need to write const to the right.
Yeah, this is a const function, right? Remember, I had two const keywords for the global function. This const is for this one. This const is for my object. Okay? This one is much better. I like this one. Also, I don't like this welcome. It's a global function. It takes an account. Let's make this member function too. Okay. Void welcome, and then what? It doesn't need any parameters because it is going to work on this object. Of course, make this a const. Okay, much better. When those two lines, I mean, these two global functions are nice because it lets me talk about the difference between these two and these two. They look much simpler, okay? They have all the data to work on. Welcome is going to say, welcome to my bank account. This is your balance and this is your interest rate, etc. Islarger is going to work on those two objects and make this comparison. So these are very nice member functions that to work on this data. Okay. By the way, it says that in my private section, I am going to keep the data this way. If my balance is a positive balance, both the dollars part and the cents part will be positive. If my balance is a negative balance, the balance could be negative. Both of them will be negative. That's how am I going to use it. Okay. So let's look at the implementation. Okay, we looked at the implementation, the main, the driver function. Okay, it is always easiest to look at how the customer uses it, and since it is easy to use, then we are okay. That's what we are trying to achieve. Right, easy to use classes, right? So it is easy to use, and in fact, I don't want to. Yeah, this one, just modify it. Both of them will work, but this one will come. Okay, and for this is larger, I am going to say account 1 dot is larger and account 2, right? Whatever. Okay, so let's look at, okay, is larger is doing this. It gets the balance of the first account. Remember, get balance returns a double, and it gets the balance of the second one. It returns a double and compares them. Okay, that will be it. But if I like to implement this for the member function, bank account, right, is larger, so it will take another one. Don't forget constant here. Okay, so tell me what should I do? Just get balance, other, right? So that will be it. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's other. Name. I can even say all, right? Okay. Yeah.
In classical definition, you wrote other
it doesn't matter. It's just a name. I mean, I don't have to write anything in here. Okay. Right. This will compile.
Yes, compile. You wrote so that I say.
Oh, you are saying that it is not a compiler. It's the principles of writing good software. Is that what you are saying?
It should be same.
The name should be same. Well, I mean, the compiler doesn't care about what name you give it to the definition here or the implementation there. So I can say other here or O there. It doesn't matter. Okay. But yeah, as a rule of principle, yeah, we should write them the same name. Okay. So I did that. Let's look at the. Okay, this is good. It works, no problem. Welcome is this, and output works this way. It says output is going to work. Let's okay. Read this function. Read that function, and where did it go? Function is here. Read this function, and I will talk you about it. You will understand there is nothing complicated. Okay, so it says get the account dollars, okay, absolute value of it. So if they are negative, make them positive. If account dollars is less than 0, that means that I need to put a negative sign at the beginning, okay. And then after the negative sign, print this dollars. Then I'm going to check the cents. If I have more than 10 cents, or including the 10 cents, then this is what I am going to do. I mean, 20 cents, I need to put, okay, $20 dot 20 cents and etc. But if my cents is less than 10, then I need to put a 0 at the beginning. So it has to be $20.09, right? $20.12 is okay. But if it is 9, then I need to put a 0 at the beginning. But sometimes I might have a minus at the beginning of that number. So this is minus, this is what it does. Then I would print the rate.
Is this because of we separate dollars and cents in different?
That's how we represent it, really.
Is this because of that floating point as well?
That might be it, but this is how that might be the reason. But whatever the reason is, we are keeping dollars and cents as integers, okay? We don't keep our balance as a double. So we need to do this, okay? We need to do this when we do the output. And how about the constructor? Constructor takes, let's look at the simple constructors first. I have the dollars and cents and rate. I use set balance, dollars and cents and rate. You might ask why we are not using the initialization section here, because if you set balance will do some validity check, okay? It's not going to set it if the amount is not correctly given, and we are going to see what kind of checks we are doing there, okay? And the rate is like that.
Why we put minus? Why we put minus?
If your account is minus, if you have a negative account.
Yes, but already hazırda onu çekmiyorum zaten. Eksiğini almıyorum.
Talking in English and say it louder. Your question is, why do we need to put the minus explicitly ourselves? Because account balance is already a minus sign, right? Okay. Well, you could do it, but remember what we said? We said that if my account balance is a negative one, okay, both of my dollars and cents are kept as negative. So I need to correct it first, okay? And account dollars is less than 0, then I put a minus. Yes, it would have been the correct to print C out account dollars here, then later C out ABS cents. So I don't have to correct the dollar part first, but this is how they implemented it. Yes?
It's not entirely accurate, I think. If my account balance is minus 50 cents, then it will show as positive due to line 110.
Yeah, that's a very good. Yeah, that's a very good point. Can I say that? Yeah, if it is less than, yeah, because 0 is not less than 0. 0 is not less than 0. Then it's going to be plus 50. Yeah, that's true. Maybe you should have said account sense, right? Did I change this? I don't remember. Just check the book. Maybe it is correct in the book's version. Account sense is always, right? We keep both of them negative. If the account is negative, both of them are negative.
The cents might be 0 though.
What?
The cents might be 0.
Well, yeah, that's true. Or maybe I should say or, right? If one of them is negative, then yeah. So there is a problem with this one. Just check the book. Maybe book has the correct version of it. Okay. I don't remember if I noticed this. If the book version is wrong, then send an email to the authors of the book saying that this is not correct. Maybe they will fix it for the next version of the book, and they will mention your name. Okay, good. Did everybody understand the problem? If one of the account dollars or cents is a 0, and the other one is a negative, then this check is not a good thing.
Maybe we try find minus sign.
Try what?
Try minus sign. Yeah, find. Maybe
Try minus sign.
Try find minus sign and.
Now the best thing would be if either of them account dollars or account cents is negative, then put a negative sign in front. Oh, I get. That explains why they have chosen this solution. Because if it is 0, then minus will not. Yeah, okay. So maybe, as I said, maybe it is correct in the book. Just check the book's code. Okay, so let's go back. So it looks like for this one, I'm getting the dollars and cents and rate. I am using the setter to set them, but for some reasons, I am directly sending these dollars to account dollars without using the setter, set balance. Oh, okay, the reason is this. Set balance makes sure that both of them are negative or positive, okay? If one of them positive, the other one is negative, then I am doing something wrong. It's going to object to it, okay? So for a negative account, both the cents part and the dollars part should be negative. For the positive account, it should be both positive, okay? For this case, I don't have that problem because if dollars is negative, then that's a negative balance. If positive, then it's a positive because my cents will be always 0. Okay? And rate is a rate, and it is checked all the time. Good. And I think I am doing the same thing here. So if somebody sends me a double, I am going to take the dollars part of it, set the account dollars, then I'm going to take the cents part of it and set it as cents. Of course, I should be careful about the signs of it. By the way, I think you kept asking Abdurrahman, right? Your name? Yeah. Abdurrahman kept asking me, can I call a function in the initialization section, etc.? I mean, you've been asking this. Yes, you could, and this is the way you call functions to initialize your data. Maybe account dollars is my private, and you get the dollars part. Remember that private function that behaves like a global function. I give a double and it returns me an integer, and I set my dollars and cents. Set rate, it has to be done separately because rate, I guess rate cannot be negative, right? Interest rate cannot be negative. Okay, good. So what? You deposit your money and they take care. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Yeah, because the money is losing its value very fast. So you deposit your money to the bank and say that I am not going to lose that much, something like that. Okay, good. Account dollars and account cents. So this is a no parameter constructor, 0, 0, 0. No problems. Update is, remember what update is? It just calculates the balance. This is how you calculate your balance actually. You get your account dollars and account cents, multiply it with this. You convert it to a double. You do this interest calculation, put it on your balance, and update your dollars and cents part. Okay? Instead of this one, I would have done it get balance. I guess it should be get balance. Get balance. This would have been better. Remember, get balance will return get balance the double, okay? The double balance. This is already what it is doing, right? Get balance. So I prefer line 146. You might say that, why are we using the public interface? I have access to account dollars and account cents, right? That's what I would say. But this one already knows how to calculate the balance. Why am I calculating the balance all over again? Okay, so I use the public interface to make your job easier. And later, if I find a bug in calculation of the balance, then if I fix it, this one will be fixed automatically. Okay, even if I don't want to do that, it is always a good idea to use this public interface. Don't access your private data directly. Do this get dollars, okay, and get cents. Remember what was the rule of information hiding? Okay, try to hide your private data from the outside world, and try to obey these rules. Okay, try to obey these rules. Are they all sleeping? No, they are listening. Some of them are sleeping. They don't care. The ones that sleep, actually, they listen more carefully. The ones, they just browse their cell phones, they don't care. Wake him up. Yeah. What are you doing? Is that your cell phone in your hand? Of course it is, yeah. Okay, so is the reason you are sleeping is because I am talking in kind of English, or is it C++? Which one? You don't care? Are you at the correct lecture? You know, okay. So this one is better than the line 45, 145, because I am using the public interface. Even though I have access to it, I am saying that I am going to use the public interface because this is the proper way of accessing it. Okay. If later somebody changes my, okay, if later I made this decision to use some other kind of data type instead of integer, let's say characters or something like that, okay, my public interface will be fixed. Okay, when I say get dollars and get cents, they will always return integers. So my code will be still running here because I am using the public interface. I don't care what my internal representation is. All I care is I am using the public interface, and these two will give me integers. But the best thing is to use this get balance.
Is much for even we design.
Exactly. Even I am using. I mean, these rules I apply to myself too. Okay. I am a customer of my code. I am writing the code. I am inside the class. Update is a function that's part of this class, but it is better to use the public interface to access your data members. Okay. Always try to isolate yourself from the from the private stuff, so that any changes to your private stuff will not affect your customer's code or will not affect your most of your code inside your class.
And what fraction rate function does in line 150?
Fraction is just converts a rate to a decimal number. So 50.5 becomes 0.505. Okay? So I am going to comment these out. I am going to comment these out. Ya çok gıcıma gidiyor ya. Şunu uyandırın şunu ya. Ya biraz önce uyandırdım sizi. Arkadaşlar uyuyanlar çıksın ya. Şurada bir 10 dakika fazla ders anlatayım ya. Çıkın ya uyuyanlar lütfen ya. Çıksana sen dışarı. İmzanı attın değil mi? Hayır yok uyuyorsun. Bunu yapmak ne demek? Ben anlatırken böyle yapmak demek ne demek? Sen çık dışarı. Uyuyorsun git orada uyu tamam. Beş dakikada bir insan uyandırıyoruz burada ya. Okay, let's go back to my sleepy lecture.
Which one worked faster?
I like this one best.
Which one worked faster?
Faster? Well, that's a good thing. I mean, which one is faster? This one is faster. Okay, because it is not calling any functions. The question is which one is faster. Okay, of course this one is faster because it is not calling any function. It is directly accessing the data. But object-oriented programming is not about efficiency. Okay, of course we like to be efficient, but it is not going to be as fast as C programming. Okay, we are trying to most of the time trade efficiency with correctness. Okay, software engineering wise correctness, and this one will be, for example, it is less efficient than this one, but we don't care much about 20% reduction in our efficiency in C++. It's going to hit anyway. But, I mean, as I said like that, but compilers are smart enough to convert this get balance. Get balance is a very simple function. Where is my get balance? It is it there, okay? Account dollars plus account cents times this, right? Compiler will see that this is a very simple code. It will take this code, okay, and it will replace that code with this function call, and it will be as efficient as line 145.
Nothing changed.
What?
Nothing changed in these two lines. Nothing different. If compiler pastes that code.
No. Compiler, while it is producing the code, is going to produce the code for this line in a way that it will be as efficient as 145. Okay? So it will get rid of all those function calls. Okay? So leave it to the compiler to get rid of these kind of simple optimization tricks. Compilers are really, really smart. And then we are going to do our stuff right. This is the rule. Do it right. Apply all the good, nice software engineering principles and object-oriented programming principles. If your program behaves nice, if your program is efficient enough, fast enough, then it's fine. If it is not, then you try to play these kind of tricks. Okay? I know this is wrong. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but I am doing this for the purpose of gaining some speed. Okay? Most of the time, this will not hurt you.
Is compiler doing this for us even though we don't use dash O3 compiler?
Of course you should use it.
If we don't use it?
If you don't use it, then it will leave it as it is. Okay? Good. And this is the input. Input is going to say, give me the balance as double. Okay, I will get it as a double. Then I will separate this double into the integer part and the decimal part. The integer part will be the dollars and the cents. And then I am going to set them like this, right? And I'm going to set the rate. Get balance is this. Even for this one, it should be get dollars. Okay? Use the public interface, not directly access your private data. So you might say, who is going to access my private data then? Only setters and getters. That's it. The rest of the class should use this public interface. So the rest of the function, rest of the class doesn't know actually. You are using an integer to represent dollars and cents under the hood, okay? Rest of them will not know about it. Only setter and getter will know it. Okay, so this is the get dollars, this is the get cents, and set balance is you get the balance, separate into two and set them. Set balance and remember set balance, okay? It will check if dollars less than 0, cents greater than 0, or des. Both of them should have the same sign. It gives an error message and it terminates the program. Otherwise, it sets it. That's the set balance function. Get rate is, and new rate, set rate is, rate always has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So dollars part is this one. It just will take this double. And see, I mean, I don't, when I say I don't like this function has no place in this class. It doesn't use anything from our data. It just takes the amount and uses the amount, and that's it. Or sense part, see, it takes the amount, okay? It divides the number into 2, okay, etc. So it doesn't need any data from my class. Why should I make this cent part my part of the class? That's a bad thing. Round and fraction is the same thing. Okay. So that's the whole program. Again, I didn't say much. The only things that we were careful about here is, yeah, even though I can use the private data directly, I said don't use the private data directly, even though you can use it. Use it using the public interface. Apply. Okay, what did we say? You can use C programming languages to write object-oriented programs, right? So what is C++? C++ is simply a tool to help you write object-oriented programs, okay? It just helps us. It doesn't mean that whatever you write in C++ is a object-oriented programming example, okay? You should always apply object-oriented programming principles everywhere and try to get compiler help as much as possible. But like in this case, where did it go? Yeah, in this case, compiler will not object to this or this or this. But I know that the object-oriented programming philosophy says that use the public interface, reuse your code, line 48, instead of using this one. Okay? So I am applying this principle myself without getting any help from the compiler. Compiler is your friend, but it is not everything. Okay? You are in control. Yes?
What is the inline keyword for the void?
Before this one?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to talk about it in a few. Okay, inline is this. Okay? If you implement, for example, get cents. If you implement your function in the class interface, okay, I am going to return cents, right? So return account cents, okay? This function is inlined. Inlined means that whenever you call this function, there is no function call at all. This code will be placed at the position of your function call, okay? So you are getting rid of the function call overhead, okay? So remember this place, Remember this place when I say get sense. So since get sense is inlined, okay, since get sense is inlined, there is no function call happening here, okay? That return sense part will be placed at this position. So this one will be as efficient as this one. That's the meaning of inline. So anything that you implement in your class definition, like this one, okay, account sense return, it will be inlined. But sometimes you might say that, okay, I want you to inline this function, okay, that I am implementing outside the class. That's the meaning of it. So this function will not be called. This code, wherever I call this input, will be placed at the position of the call. That's the meaning of the inline. So to make some things fast, okay, use the inline keyword, but we don't use inline much nowadays because inline is just a suggestion for the compiler, okay? You are telling the compiler that this function will be called very frequently. Don't call it, just place its code at the position of the call. The compiler may not follow it, may not choose your suggestion. It may not inline it, or usually the compiler, when you do the optimization, if the functions are small enough, that will inline all of these. Okay, so this is an optimization thing. You don't have to say much to the compiler. Okay, you don't have to say much to the compiler. By the way, inlining these kind of very small functions is a good thing. Okay, but if you inline a very large function, what does it mean? Every time you call it, there is no function call. All that code will be placed in your code assembly, so your assembly size will be larger and larger. That's not going to be good. Okay. Remember, I keep talking about the optimization flags. There are two types of optimization. One is for the speed optimization. The other one is for the memory optimization. Okay. So inlining your functions is good for the speed optimization, but sometimes it is bad for memory optimization because it makes your total assembly code size large.
Which flag is for which memory?
I forgot. I don't know. You look it up. Okay, so I didn't cover that many material, but see, I mean, I'm spending lots of time about the constructors and that kind of stuff. I didn't say many new things about the language itself, just the constructor and the initialization section maybe, but there are many things to talk about, right? I mean, why we are doing this, as opposed to this, what is the advantage of it, and etc. That takes lots of time, okay? Tomorrow I am trying to finish up this rest of this chapter, hopefully. Okay? See you tomorrow.